How's it going, everyone? It's your Forkin friend. Before I start the video, I would like to make one thing clear. This is not a power scaling video, so Seth the Programmer, please don't bite my head off and spit down the hole. However, this is a fighting scenario of several characters who would never actually meet in fiction, pluck them from their respective genre, and put them and fight them. Yeah. Now, on to the video. What this is the amalgamation of several very overpowered characters all smashed into one person. The first protagonist that I will like to introduce is Alex Mercer from the very popular game Prototype. A little bit of a backstory for him. He was resurrected back to life by the Blacklight virus, given some really, really crazy powers to manipulate his body into weapons and so on and so on. One of his more key features, however, was his ability to consume, and this was a very key feature throughout the game series, that whenever you would find certain people or certain opponents, you would consume them and learn everything they did, whether it would be abilities or just knowledge. Now, how can we apply this to a fight scenario? The reason I chose Mercer is because he can consume, and then there's one character who has similar abilities, not exactly the same, but similar, is Carnage from the Spider-Man Marvel Universe thing. So, with Mercer's powers, two things could happen. He comes across Carnage. First and foremost, Carnage would immediately know that this guy is strong, and he would either try to use him as a host, or he would try to take him down because he sees him as a threat. So, I'm going to go with the latter option and fight, because it would be boring just to see a venomized Mercer. Like, that's kind of meh. But if we see Mercer fight, beat, and eat Carnage, that would be very interesting to see a fusion instead of just Carnage laying on top of Mercer. It would be Mercer taking everything that Carnage was. And the cool thing is, the reason why this is such a big deal is because all of the memories, because if I don't know if you know much about symbiotes, but their host, they have a bond down to the cell. So the symbiote learns and knows everything that the host does. And all if like with Carnage or Venom, they were once a part of Spider-Man, so that's why they still have the signature web slinging, because they remember those things and they were fused essentially. But the cool thing is that Mercer would know everything Carnage did. He would know everything Carnage had, every power, every ability, every fighting style, everything. So it would essentially be Carnage eaten by Mercer, giving Mercer a stronger regenerative ability, much more durability, a much higher variety of a weaponry arsenal, and a much more versatile arsenal. Because Mercer can't shoot things; he can extend his body really far, as with the whip ability, but Carnage can actually throw bits of himself, and they disappear. They don't. They're not permanent. He can make literal weapons to hold, not just a part of his body. He can make tendrils. He can use web slinging. He can do everything Spider-Man can do, everything Venom can do, and more, with a much, much higher bloodlust. And that gets me into the next thing. Carnage is Carnage and his bloodlust. It would. I don't know if you remember from the second Prototype game. Mercer was more of the bad guy kind of visionary, which I don't exactly agree with, but that's a whole other video. Mercer was the big bad guy, had a huge bloodlust, just was killing, killing, killing. Combine that with Carnage, and you have something even worse. Now, pretty sure I painted a good picture of that. What is one more person. Who is one more person that would just make this just stupid, just stupid? The only person that I could really come up with that would be different enough to be interesting, but also similar enough to have useful powers, was Gluttony from Full Metal Alchemist. Now, the reason I say Gluttony is because, basing on the consuming or eating part, Gluttony is known for being able to eat literally anything. Literally anything. He opens up his chest into the false portal, and then whenever he activates it, it launches like an invisible beam that eats everything in its wake. Everything. I'm not sure, they didn't really go much into detail on how versatile this was in the anime. I never read the manga, but in the anime, I saw that he would do it, a like a almost like a wind tunnel kind of look, and everything that was in that gone. Now, how can we apply this to Mercer? So the Mercer Carnage amalgamation comes into contact with Gluttony for whatever reason. Say Gluttony was on a mission because they saw this guy and there's like, hey, we can't have him running around. We need to beat him so we can be top dogs. All right, Gluttony, you're good at this stuff. You go take care of him. Just eat him. It'd be simple as that. It doesn't really work out. Gluttony is too stupid to be able to fight Mercer effectively. Similar to how he was whenever he was fighting Alphonse or Edward. They ran circles around him. He was fast and he's strong, but he just tanks hits. He's not good at fighting. He's just got power. And so Mercer notices this, he fights him, he beats him, he eats him. Now what does this do? Well, Mercer, now with Carnage powers, symbiote powers, and now with homunculus powers. Not just Gluttony, but the general blanket of homunculus powers that is unanimous across all homunculi from that series. You have the ridiculous regeneration. Your head could be blown off and you will survive. Not to mention the Philosopher's Stone would, now this is a maybe, potentially, would give him the knowledge of alchemy. Because he is consuming all the memories as well from Gluttony. So potentially Gluttony's knowledge of alchemy would come into play. Be able to use that. I don't know. I don't think Gluttony ever actually did any alchemy, but it's a stretch. But he would have essentially a battery that would keep him alive through almost anything. And since it would be fused into his being, it would be very similar to how von Hohenheim works. Because he is essentially a physical embodiment of a Philosopher's Stone. He doesn't actually have the physical thing. He is one, and that would be a very similar concept to how Mercer would work. Because he already consumes people. He already has their memories and them inside of him. This would just make him that much stronger. It would be a similar representation of in the first game when he fought the final boss, that chick that was like the mother of all of the Blacklight virus. It would be something like that. She was so powerful when he consumed her, he just was like, raw, really strong. Similar to that, but a little bit more. So now, we have the Philosopher's Stone out of the way, which grants immeasurable strength, practical immortality, really, really high durability. Now, for Gluttony's specific abilities, his consuming abilities, he can eat anything, no limitations. As long as it is within that blast radius, it's gone. Like, gone. And so, what would that mean for Mercer? He would be part homunculus, so his body would be able to remember those abilities and be able to work with those abilities a lot smoother. So his chest would open up. Of course, it would look all venomized and blacklight, grotesque, kind of black and red, instead of just the teeth like, Gluttony. So it would be a lot more demonized, and you'd see the eye right in his chest, and then he would just do the blah, like from the yeah, like from the laser clashing, blah. So he would have that ability with the insatiable urge to eat. So he would be practically unstoppable. His durability is ridiculously high. His physical strength is ridiculously high. His agility and speed is ridiculously high. You have a a black the physical embodiment of the blacklight virus, right? Then you have a bloodlusted symbiote that is only out to kill. And then you have a homunculus who has an insatiable urge to eat everything that he sees. Now, if you combine all that into one character or one person, what monstrosity would that be? Like that, it would just be ridiculous. It the power emanating from that would just be absolutely ridiculous. Now, who would that be able to fight? I am curious to see y'all's opinion. Who would that be able to beat? Who could that fight? Who who would he lose against? Then and just for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna call this Monster Mercer, or no, Mercer Monster. Yeah, Mercer Monster. No, that's a bit too hard to say. It's like a little tongue twistery. How about this? I'll leave it up to you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.